and welcome to the Kemetic How-To Guide for Egyptian Pagan and Kemetic practitioners. I'm your host, Sharon. A very common question about Egyptian practice is, well, what should I offer to a particular deity? There are a lot of Egyptian pagan and Kemetic websites out there that offer their own suggestions about what foods or particular items a specific deity likes. Well, today's episode has a twofold answer. The first is what scholars know historically about offerings to gods, and then what we know about offerings from experience as Egyptian pagans. First, for the historical. This answer, it may seem kind of anticlimactic, but ancient offerings were pretty standard. Most offerings listed and pictured in temples followed kind of a stock theme. They were common to all deities. Examples would be water, milk. According to one really good website, it's thought that milk was kind of a delicacy. And if you think about it, they didn't have a refrigerator to put it in, so it was always very fresh. It didn't store very long. So water, milk, beer, bread, vegetables, choice cuts of meat, being beef and fowl. Notice that these are the same offerings that you run across in the voice offering formula. Bread, beer, 1,000 of beef, 1,000 of fowl, all good and pure things on which a god lives. That suggests that they all like to more or less the same things. Now, we do know that there were certain deities that were given specific articles. For example, Hathor was given sistrums as offerings quite often, and this eventually spread to other deities such as Bastet and Sekhmet as well. But there were other deities that probably didn't get anything specific to them, out of the usual lists. And in fact, this question was originally posed to me about the goddess Ma'at, and did she have any specific offerings? Well, as the gal who asked that pointed out, it is a very difficult question to research, and she may not have gotten any specific things aside from the beef, water, wine, that sort of thing. Wine might be one thing to try because there are some cases, this is a little bit different, it's where the king is offering Ma'at. Sometimes, instead of holding the figure of Ma'at, he was holding a wine jar. So, from the historical end of it, that might be one thing that you could try. What was more important, if you judge from the ancient texts, was the prayer or the statement, the intent behind a specific offering. Because things like water or milk, they can have different shades of meaning, but what was specific came from the recitation that came with the offering. So, whatever it is that you might be offering, include a statement as you're making it. Even if it's as simple as, here, I want you to have this, enjoy it. Because that will get across the meaning more so than any kind of cryptic symbolism or equating one thing with another. That's more of a Greek tradition than it is an Egyptian tradition anyway. A lot of our correspondences and things that come from Wicca, that traces back to Greek and Roman practice and not to Egyptian or Near Eastern. Now, that brings us to personal experience. And bottom line, if you get a feeling that a particular god or goddess that you work with wants something particular, go with it. Share from your own experience and your own environment with them. And if you've got a particular feeling, that could be them telling you, hey, I'd like some of that. So research is always important, but there's something else called personal gnosis, which is your own personal revelation and your own experience, that you gain. That should never be discounted. And again, getting back to Ma'at, maybe another thing you could try is offering an ostrich feather. Just be careful, as they get old, ostrich feathers tend to shed little things. This one is, I think, about 20 years old now. So, I've heard of ultra, I don't want to say conservative, but ultra picky Kemetic Reconstructionists that try to do everything as authentic as possible. And some of them have even gotten onto forums and dissed other people that offered something, that was thoroughly modern to a deity. Um, that's taking it a little too far. You really can't get authentic when it comes to Egyptian offerings for a couple of reasons. For one, frankly, we don't have recipes for things like shen's bread or shot bread or some of the other kinds of breads. The Egyptians had so many different kinds, and we don't have the specific recipes. We also don't have the same strains of wheat that they used. You have to really dig to find emmer wheat. And when they ground it, it tended to pick up a lot of sand. And so Egyptian bread had a high sand content, it was very gritty, and they've found a lot of mummies that had tooth wear over time. Is that something we really want to reconstruct? I think I'll pass on that. Also, good luck finding Persea fruit that's from the Persea tree. And it still grows in the modern region of Somalia and Yemen and, southern Saudi Arabia. But, again, that's not a kind of fruit that you can very easily find. On the other hand, if you look online, apparently there are microbreweries that are making a kind of Egyptian beer. So, again, you really have to dig to find some of those things. And furthermore, this is the real issue when it comes to being ultra reconstructionist when it comes to offerings. By insisting on having things as close to back then as possible, you're kind of shutting the gods out of the here and now and denying them the opportunity to evolve, to change, to grow, which obviously they have. Otherwise, they wouldn't be reaching out to us now. So, to say that to not acknowledge their evolution really runs contrary to what history teaches them about it, teaches us about them. As a matter of fact, if you recall, one of the forms of the sun god was Khepri, and the word Khepri can mean to evolve, to happen, to transform. So, change and evolution is part of their nature. And besides, you might be getting a sense that that they want a particular offering because they like it from you. That they might be saying, well, this person always finds us the best chocolate or the best whatever. And that's what really is the most special kind of offering, an offering that comes from the heart. So, hopefully this will be some help to you when you're working on your own Egyptian pagan or Kemetic practice. And another thing that might help, I finally have it out. Circle of the Sun, Rites and Celebrations for Egyptian Pagans and Kemetics. This book, if you've already gotten Following the Sun, then you'll definitely want to try to get this book, because this deals more with rituals and the nitty-gritty. If you're more advanced, if you've been with a particular group, or you know a little bit about Egyptian practice, or Tamarin Wicca, or some other tradition, this has a little bit of history of those, and also different, again, rituals going through, the calendar year. And also, if you go on Lulu, you can get it at a discount. So, 10% off the price from Amazon. So, check for it. It's on the link at the end credits. And, hopefully this will be one more resource for you. So for the Kemetic How-To Guide, this is Sharon wishing you Synepti.